All right, guys, two pieces of news that we want to talk about. We'll go through the latest in regards to N'Golo Kante, Christopher Nkunku, and we'll talk about Hudson-Odoi's performance against Bayern Munich and just overall the feel towards Bundesliga. We'll hold back on the preview for the Crystal Palace game for early tomorrow, so do look out for that. But for the time being, let's talk about these two topics. Very, very important.
All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin.
All right, welcome back to the other side of the coin, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to go straight into this Christopher Nkunku to Chelsea. See what is the latest that's been talked about in social media. Fabrizio Romano, in the last 12 hours or so, has dropped a tweet as well. There's a tweet from Florian Plettenberg, who's close to all things German football, so we'll look into that. But this is what Fabrizio Romano had to say, the latest. If you've missed out on the stream, which we did earlier, probably about 12, 13 hours ago, do check that out in regards to Christopher Nkunku, where we talked about player analysis, his skill set, the entire news in more detail. It's about 30-minute stream. Do check that out if you've missed that out, which is a very good viewing as well. But this is what Fabrizio Romano had to say, ladies and gentlemen. Christopher Nkunku had a medical with Chelsea confirmed as called by Bild. Chelsea sent long-term contract bid to Nkunku to prepare the deal for 2023. It's not done yet, as Chelsea and Red Bull Leipzig will speak about fee, 60 million release clause, or different deal structure. Look, it seems like this is a legitimate news. A lot of you said that, look, I'm not going to say anything until I see Fabrizio tweet. Well, Fabrizio has tweeted this, and Fabrizio also has confirmed the story from Bild in regards to a medical. Now, look, the thing about the medical, let me just break this down. This isn't the complete medical that's been done. It's part of the medical. There are other parts that are still to be done if this goes ahead. But the news, it's so early, isn't it? It's so early. So much can happen. You don't know what the outset's going to look like down the track post World Cup, and by the end of the season finishes. Is the player still going to be fit? Is there going to be injury? You hope that the player is fit and not injured. Form, does that matter? Also, Chelsea future, like if we get out of top 4, is he still keen to come to us? 60 million release clause, is it just us? I'm hearing rumors that Liverpool are interested in him. Real Madrid will be interested in him. PSG will be interested in him. So is it just a foregone conclusion that Chelsea gets this player? I don't know. I don't think so. And I feel like this is so early in the piece. End of the season is so far away still, Jermaine. So, look, in regards to the intention of the club, of Chelsea Football Club, yes, they want this player. It seems like we want this particular player. Whether this happens or not, I don't know. This is the thing. It's so far ahead in the timeline at the moment. It's very difficult to say. Now, this is what Florian Plettenberg had to say. News, Nkunku, we have been told that it was not a medical in order to finalize a deal with Chelsea. So we already know that. So I'm just going to try and break this tweet down. So the first line that Florian Plettenberg has said, we know it wasn't the full medical to get the deal done. It was part of it. I think cardio and some other part of it was done. So there's obviously still a lot to do. It should have taken place due to insurance reasons. Now, I don't understand this particular line completely, what they mean by insurance reasons. Maybe these are certain processes that they have to go through before you make the complete switch from one club to another. So that I'm not going to comment too much about. Yes, Chelsea wants him in 2023, but no decision yet. No signing of pre-contract so far. So nothing's really been done, if I'm being absolutely honest. Like, nothing really has properly been done. All I can say is that Todd Bowley definitely seems to have some sort of relationship with the Red Bull group, the Red Bull owners. He's obviously gone after Christoph Freund from Salzburg. He wanted that director of football to be part of Chelsea. He's also tapped onto the Leipzig CEO, wanted him to be part of Chelsea Football Club as well as a CEO. He definitely is interested, and he's also mentioned it in his recent interview a couple of weeks ago, saying that he likes that multi-dimensional structure of Red Bull, the Salzburg team, the Leipzig team. He likes how both of them are in the Champions League. So there's a clear liking for the Red Bull, organization. And maybe we are trying to create a relationship down the track. Todd Bowley seems to really like this situation that's happening with Red Bull, and maybe there could be something with Nkunku, but you never know. The other factor is Benjamin Sesko is moving from Salzburg to Red Bull Leipzig. So there will be a position opened up. And don't forget, we've got Werner from Leipzig to Chelsea and then from Chelsea back to Leipzig. So there is some sort of relationship happening there. But release clause. So Florian Plettenberg goes on to say, yes, Chelsea wants him in 2023, but no decision yet. No signing of pre-contract so far by release clause. So that's the biggest factor. 60 million release clause, which I feel like is very gettable. Which, I mean, it's definitely not an issue. And that's why it makes me think, how can Chelsea be the only person in the race? There will be other people in the race as well. Now, in regards to Hudson-Odoi, and we're going to talk about Bundesliga as a whole, and we'll try and tie in this whole Nkunku situation. I just finished watching Bayern Munich versus Bayer Leverkusen. Just did the watch along. Some of you guys might have been part of that watch along and watched it. I have to say, some of the defending men, oh my God, it's shambolic. Like Bayern Munich beat Leverkusen 4-0 at the Allianz Arena at home. Okay, fine, I get it. Bayern Munich 15th the table. I think Bayer Leverkusen's 15th. They're dwindling around very close to the relegation zone. But this is what I mean. Like, yes, Bayern Munich, creme de la creme. Like, they are the best in the game. And then the way they moved the ball with such pace, the way they moved as well with such pace, not just with the ball, but off the ball, the movement was constant and they did not let Leverkusen settle down. I get it. How can you keep up with a team that is moving so rapidly with the ball and without the ball? It's very hard to keep up with them. I get that. And that's why some of the space is opening up. But on top of that, some of the goals that Bayern Munich scored, all four, to be honest, that they scored, a couple of them were big-time errors from the goalkeeper. But then there were the other two that was just so open in defense. And this is why I get worried about Bundesliga. And I know I did speak about Musiala recently, that I would love to get him. Even Musiala, I think, as great as he has been, and in this game he was fantastic once again, I think these sort of players will probably find it a bit of a shock in the system of how, close-knit and how difficult it is in the Premier League. It's way too open, it seems like, in the Bundesliga. Taking nothing away from Bayern Munich, they were excellent, but Leverkusen, some of these defenders that sometimes we get linked to, Tapsoba, Tar, I don't know, man. I don't know whether these guys are it, but is judging them against Bayern Munich the right thing to do? I don't know. In regards to Hudson-Odoi, ladies and gentlemen, there were a couple of things he did well. There was a nice pass through the middle. He played in the central location. He played as a central attacking midfielder in the first half. And there were a couple of passes through the middle, one specifically to Moussa Diaby. He set him through nicely. It was a tough opportunity. There was still a defender there, and obviously Manuel now. But that was a nice pass from Hudson-Odoi through the central area. There was a couple other ones. But overall, if I'm being absolutely honest, there's few people in social media saying that Callum had a really good game. I don't think he had a really good game. I don't think anyone from Leverkusen had a very good game. They were very, very poor. But it was more so the fact that Bayern Munich was so magnificent, to be honest, with the ball. But it was interesting to see Callum through the middle. In the second half, he was more sort of tactically switched on the left side. And Ryan and I, who did the watch-along, were kind of thinking the reason probably that happened is maybe in the first half, as good as at times Callum looked with the ball, but without the ball, because they were without the ball quite a lot of time, Callum probably just didn't provide that enough numbers in midfield. And it looked like far too open for Bayern Munich at times, just their attackers, attacking, going straight on with the Leverkusen midfielders, the defensive midfielders. So maybe from an off-the-ball point of view, Callum probably just wasn't there in the middle of the park. But I don't want to be too overly critical, because Callum probably is just starting to learn that central attacking midfield role as a young forward. And it's going to take a bit of time to understand the off-the-ball movement as well. So second half, obviously, he was somewhat shifted on that left side, more of a winger. But quickly enough, as nothing was transpiring, he was hooked off at 60th minute by the manager. And I'm worried about this manager. Look, firstly, I'm happy that he's identified a particular area of Callum, thinking he could potentially play in the middle as opposed to just being penciled on the left side or on the right side in the wing. He's seen something from a creative standpoint that maybe he can play in the middle, which is fantastic. But I'm worried that if the results continue like this brother's probably going to get the sack, and the new manager comes in. Whether they're going to fancy Callum playing regular minutes, I don't know. So, look, I hope Callum and Bayer Leverkusen can turn things around ASAP and move up the table, because if results continue like this, it's going to be detrimental. And once a manager goes, it just brings up a whole heap of uncertainty. This is what Manuel Veth, I think North America transfer market, this is what he was sort of commenting. Hudson-Odoi off the 60 minutes at the Allianz Arena, probably the closest he has ever gotten to playing for Bayern. Like, all of his teammates was pretty much invisible. That's how I felt as well. There were a couple of bits and pieces that he did better than his teammates, I have to say, but nothing to be like absolutely wowed about. Hudson-Odoi hooked off an hour with his side 3-0 down, didn't impact the game at all, really might not be the lone move he needed. Leverkusen currently have 5 points from 8 games and are sat third from the bottom. There you go, they've entered the relegation area. Look, I don't know about whether this isn't the lone move. I think it is a fantastic lone move. We can all agree on that. But it's sad how we are sending some of these players and they end up being in these situations where they're fighting in relegation zone, which is tough. You know, we did the same thing with Billy Gilmore as well. I hope Callum and Leverkusen can turn this around and they can move up the table, because this Leverkusen team is not bad, but yeah, this Bundesliga, man. Let's now sort of bring it back to this Bundesliga situation, ladies and gentlemen. We have to be cautious. We have to be cautious. I'm happy with the Nkunku link. I think Nkunku, from a skill set standpoint, I know we're all scarred with the Timo Werner situation, but from a skill set standpoint, I think he's got a little bit more to offer than Timo Werner in terms of ball control, close ball control as well, in terms of technicality in tight spaces. But how is Nkunku going to fare in a league like Premier League, where there's not that much space in defense, as opposed to in the Bundesliga? There's just so much abundance of space. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, hope you guys have enjoyed this. Smash the like button if you have. Let me know your thoughts about all of this that we've talked about in regards to Nkunku, in regards to Hudson-Odoi. If you've watched the match against Bayern Munich, please comment below. Smash the like button. We'll be back tomorrow early to do the preview for the Crystal Palace game, so don't worry about that. That will be coming. And then a whole heap of watch-alongs tomorrow with the North London derby that's coming up. Obviously, our game, there's Inter Milan versus Roma, I believe. And then the following day, the Manchester derby as well, which is going to be incredible. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. Till next time, see ya.